Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 5, Episode 1. It is called Magic Man. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. It has been so long!
It feels so good to have it back.
It has been so long. That bastard Viegler, he went down like 2 years ago at this point. It's been so long.
I'd almost forgotten about it because it'd been so long. And then as soon as they started talking about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. It's been so long. So this picks up right where the last season left off.
Within minutes of.
Well, not including, of course, the black and white segment, which comes first. But otherwise, it picks up right where it left off. We're still in the courthouse, or wherever Jimmy and Kim are. Right when he's made his choice to start working under the Saul Goodman name. Everything's still going on with the builders with Gus and Eduardo Salamanca, being suspicious, like all that stuff. We're just it just runs right on. So luckily Netflix were kind enough to give me a nice hefty previously on Better Call Saul at the start of the episode, which did help things considerably. Did you not get that? Oh, it's a shame.
No, I never do. I don't actually feel like I needed it. It's been 2 years, and anytime they mentioned anything, it flooded right back. I was like, oh yeah, I know all of this.
Yeah. So we have, of course, the black and white segment, which we'll start with. If you remember, last time we had one of these, he collapsed in the Cinnabon and was taken to hospital, and he was very nervous because he had to sign out of the hospital. His name was, obviously not his original name, but the name that he'd been using was used in the hospital. He had to sign documentation. He got a cab home. He felt like he was being followed. And that's maybe the longest black and white segment we've had.
It's about 10, 11 minutes.
Yeah, it's good length, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in it, in the sense that
there's like 2 different sections to it, isn't there?
Yeah, because the first one is that he basically is so scared of what's going on that he packs up, he changes his license plates, he's got like a second license plate ready to go, and he drives to like a diner like in a different town, and he's just waiting there just to sort of see what happens. He calls back to the Cinnabon and sort of asks the employees, oh hey, I won't be back until Thursday, what's going on, and casually just says, is anyone been by looking for me, has anyone asked about me, and sort of tries to sort of play it off as some insurance companies have been calling me and whatever. But he's basically trying to like just wean out, has he been made, like do people notice him, has this caused anything, and he hears nothing. So he does go back. He goes back and he goes to work, and he's back on the job at Cinnabon. And just like I've seen him do before, he goes and sits on a little bench, and every mall has these. Yeah, where the balcony is, there's benches around it. Most malls have these kind of things, these little spots you can just sit. And he sits down, he's having his lunch, and we had that scene, I don't know if it was last season, the season before, but the kids were getting harassed, and he almost stood up and tried to help them with his lawyer knowledge, but he backed out of it. He couldn't do it. And you know what I love about this? It's because the filming style of this show is so specific. Is that he's just reading his book. He's happy as doesn't like happy, but he's content as could be. He's having his sandwich. He's reading his book, and you just see out of focus in the background like 2 figures kind of slow down and
take a look at them.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, who's this going to be? And I was half expecting someone to be recognized.
I was too. And as soon as the voice, I was like, do I recognize that voice? I don't think so.
Not from this show. I know the actor, but not from.
Yeah. But I was like, was that anyone from this or from Breaking Bad? That's what I was going through. I was like, is this someone?
But the reason why it's perfect that we don't know the person from this show is that, like, this feels very sinister. Like he's there representing some organization that's after him, but we don't know him, so we don't know for sure. Like, is this just, are we as paranoid as he is? As Saul is? Like,
it could genuinely just be chance, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. He does come on strong with making him like sort of admit that he's Saul. Like that's he really, and even the thing that I really noticed is at the end of this, when he eventually says, "Go on, say it," and he really makes a point. And, and Saul's looking at the other guy that's with him, who's just sort of standing back, like he's the heavy, like he's going to pull out a gun at any point. And he eventually says, "Better Call Saul." What was that? Better Call Saul. No, point as well. Do the point. He's like, "Better Call Saul." And he's like, yeah, you're rusty. You'll do better next time. And I'm like, next time. That's an interesting phrase there at the end of that.
Do you know what the problem is?
Mm-hmm.
There are enough people that are just dicks, that this could just be a dick.
the actor, I think, is recognizable enough that I don't suspect that he's just a random dick that we're not going to see again.
I agree. I think it's much more likely that he is working for someone. But, it's just the possibility that maybe you could write it off.
Yeah, he's definitely been made, and I think the ending of this and the choice that he makes at the end, like, it doesn't make sense if he wasn't made. It was like, where does it go? Especially since we only have so much time in these sections each season to, put the story forward.
I can't remember if we do 2 a season or is it just 1?
Just the 1, I think. Yeah, because we every season we say this is the 1 in the finales, but there definitely wasn't last time.
Do you know the problem is by the time we get to the finale, I always forget to think about whether there is one or not.
Yeah. So, whether or not that changes next season, because this is the first time we've said this during a review, but we know that next season, now season 6, is going to be the final season. So, whether or not it changes a little bit for that, because it's the last season, we'll see. But
yeah, we've said for a while there's possibilities that the final season could be all set in this. I think that's maybe not likely anymore. No, I think maybe like an episode or 2, though.
I could see 1 full episode, or I could see every episode having a scene at the start.
Yeah.
I could see either of those being really possible.
Yeah, me too.
Once the story really gets going, because and I was not expecting this, because he does this scene and he's again beautifully shot. You feel how nervous he is and how tense he is throughout the whole thing. He goes to a payphone. Obviously, he's been very wise about what he uses here, and he calls the vacuum repair shop. And I think what's beautiful about El Camino is that it reminded of this so much recently that like there was not, I'd still gotten it, but like this was just nice that, and also bittersweet because Robert Foster, the actor here, is passed away. He passed away just before El Camino came out. So
which tells you how long ago this was filmed.
Yeah, that's not an unusual amount of time.
No, but I mean, El Camino came out a while ago now, right?
Yeah, but again, that's not an unusual amount of time for when they shoot these seasons to when they're released. So, it does mean though they may have had plans to see him again. Admittedly, given Saul's decision here, maybe not anyway. But if there was any plans, obviously the actor's passed away; they can't do it now. But when I heard his voice, because I wasn't expecting to see him. I thought we'd just see it all from Saul's side of the conversation. But it did cut to him in the vacuum repair shop. He's there, and that was nice.
And talking in code of all the things that they can do.
And Jimmy's or Saul's going to go on the run again. He's going to pay double for a second relocation. And he's going to go back to the same location they dropped him off in, and that's where he'll get picked up. And just at the end, he sort of turns around, and it's this neat thing because he turns around so he's facing the opposite direction now. Even in the camera still facing him, he's now facing the right instead of the left, or vice versa, whatever way it was. And he says, "You want no? I've changed my mind. I'm going to fix this myself." Yeah, he makes this choice. He hangs up the phone, and the final shot is him just walking away out of focus before we go to the title screen. And it's this, and it makes sense to me because everything we've seen in these black and white segments since the start of this show is him being scared. And I think, regardless of how dangerous this might be, I think he's just tired of being scared.
He's just sick of it, yeah. He's kind of snapped.
So, win or lose, he's going down now. Like, he's going to go out with a bang if he's going to go out. And and I think what's nice about that is because obviously in the regular, main timeline of the show, he is a character who does do a lot of things, but he is a weasel. He's very much a weasel. Like whenever he's in trouble, he can talk himself out of things. And there is any sort of bookending to the whole story of Saul Goodman if the last story that happens in this like future timeline is him kind of for the first time saying, I'm not going to run away scared anymore. I'm not going to weasel my way out of this. I'm just going to take this on, head on. That makes a lot of natural sense, I think.
It does, yeah. No, it's and it's so well filmed and shot, and the whole show always is, of course, but these sequences always have a particular pizzazz to them.
Yeah. So that was the black and white segment, and then in the regular segment we have 2 plots to really talk about. We have Saul's plot, and we have the Eduardo plot. Now, obviously, Eduardo's plot does intersect with Mike and intersects with Nacho and other characters, but it's definitely Eduardo who's at the center of it in terms of who we're following here. Yeah. He's sitting, during one of the store that they always have the money counts every week. The guys come in, the local drug dealers come in and like give their counts to Nacho, and he's sitting at the other table. We've seen this many a time over the last few seasons.
In the back, just overseeing it.
But of course, we have this extra element, and this is just a visual representation of Eduardo's like almost like frustratingly like injection into the show from Nacho's perspective, like because the camera just goes over a little bit, and Eduardo's got his feet on the table, just sort of like twitching, like he's intrusive, like he's damaging the natural calm, the natural sort of
because
flow.
before it was always someone just sat almost directly behind. They're always behind and quiet. And
because we've had two people sitting where natural is. We've had natural next to whoever, right?
Yeah.
Victor maybe, or whoever. But here this is different. Here, like, Eduardo's like this third point in the room. He's this third area in the room, and he's twitching his foot. He's this uneasy extra element that's just making everyone else. And he's like, I mean, because obviously in the finale last season, he heard the name Wegeler, and he heard Michael, and he's like, do you know Michael? Do you know how many of these regular guys there is in Germany? There's 27, well, 26 now, and so on and so on. And he's poking at this, and eventually they sort of say, there's one, because he says what's been going on differently, and like he says, there's been one little thing. Is show me, and Natural's like, no, it's fine, seriously, there's nothing going on. And what's funny is that it does seem like Natural does genuinely believe nothing's happening, but ultimately there is, yeah. Like Eduardo actually has the know-how to detect that some of the drugs are different. They've been tampered with. They look the same to your layman, if you will.
And he does say something, are you not like testing these? And he's like, no, we are. And he goes, well, what's your method? He's like, well, we pick a few at random and test them, and just assume that the rest of the batch is, which seems like a perfectly reasonable method.
Yeah. Especially since, they even pick which ones they're taking from the bulk at random as well, because,
they're not being presented, these are the ones to test. They're like, no, we're choosing our own.
And we saw this before. We saw them all go out on the table and they pick which ones they want. And he and this sequence is again very well done. We see like just what one of these drug deals looks like, but it coming down the drain pipe and all the rest of it. But we see how Eduardo just drives in like past the sort of the gunman at the front, who is trying to like threaten him and say, no, you can't just come in here. It's not until Natural gets out of the car, who he obviously recognizes. He's like, right, I better shut up.
Change of plans. Yeah,
better shut up. So, and what's interesting is because we know that Natural's informing Gus, right? So the next time we see Eduardo is that Gus has arranged a meeting with him and the other Salamanca, and they sit down and he's like, okay, I must confess something. And he talks about how, this German that ran away, he stole some drugs. He was working for a legitimate production or construction
he was project. On the other side of my business, but he kind of discovered the other side, and things got out of hand. I could have handled it better.
Yeah, but I had to replace the product with some locally purchased things, and I should have been upfront about it. So he confesses that he did something wrong, essentially, to try and sort of make it look he's getting his penance, right? And Eduardo's like, what was he building? What's happening? Is
it'll be easy to just show you.
Yeah, and sure enough, the same German crew are working on this building in the warehouse. It's maybe this big cooler for chicken that he's all excited about.
Not a freezer, because his company never freezes the product.
Which is why I chose my wording carefully. I said cooler.
Yeah, you did. I really like that little line.
Yeah. And Mike's there with his hard hat, and Eduardo wants to meet him. He's like, I need to meet Michael. And Mike's just so no nonsense. Like he
as always
shakes his hands like, happy to hear that. There, I'll go back to it. He just goes back to work. Very entertaining. And the other guy's like, hey, this has to be done. And Gus kind of says, yeah, no more problems. But Eduardo outside isn't ready to sort of say that. But he's like, look, I need to know this rivalry, this whatever you're trying to do is done. And Eduardo's like, you trust, this thing, this chicken dude? Like, really? You trust him?
Like, well, he's not family, so I don't trust him in that sense. But I mean, he's never let us down business-wise.
I love that line, because that ties into everything Gus is doing, not only in this but in Breaking Bad. This idea that he was never going to be seen as one of the equals to the Salamanca family, so that he that's why he's doing all this, building his own empire, because he's not going to, if he can't be a part of that, if he can't be a treasured part of that, then he's going to be his own man.
And you do get the impression, if they'd given him a seat at the table, in a true position as one of the family, he might have been content with that.
Yeah, he might have been. He might have seen that as respect and been happy to continue with that. So yeah, so that's kind of that. And it's like, obviously I don't think Eduardo's stopping. I feel like he sniffs something, and he's going to keep trying to sniff. Although Gus, alternatively, is ceasing construction for now. He's still paying the crew in full. They're sending them all back home, There's a great scene where Mike's sort of giving them like different cars and different airports to go to, so they're all flying back independently. Some of them are going in pairs if they're close with each other, and that so it looks, so it's not all just random single people. It's like some people are in pairs because they're traveling together.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
There's one guy who's like, you did what you had to do. He was a bit of a weak man.
It was a good guy, but he was a bit soft, I think.
Yeah, that was soft was the word. And Mike punches him. Mike does not take kindly to this. And the guy who comes after is very hesitant. But instead of, and this is the funny thing, is that the first guy was kind of like trying to justify to Mike what he did. Because we know Mike was hesitant about what he did. Mike did not like having to shoot.
He hated having to do it. He was they were friends.
He did not like that. But the second guy comes up after being a bit hesitant and says, what was it? I know what he said. I'm just trying to remember the exact phrase. It was basically, like 10 of you aren't worth one of him. That wasn't how he phrased it, but that was the sentiment. He's worth more than 10 of you, I think might have been the phrase. But
like 10 times the man you are, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's notable that even though this is the one that sounds like the insult, this is the one that doesn't offend Mike, because I think Mike agrees with him. Yeah, and like it's something that has some inside, and he obviously tries to sort of maintain his composure, and he gets on with it. But I thought that was a very interesting character beat for him.
We do, and we definitely see how this plays out into his conscience later with Mike's scene with Gus.
Oh yeah, because Gus is like, okay, I'm going to keep you on retainer. We're not going to do anything just now. Once we've dealt with Eduardo, which he will be dealt with, so I mean that gives us some of the plot this season, if nothing else. Yeah. We'll continue construction, but for now, we're going to leave that lab half built. And Mike's like, he at one point, what does he say that Gus is like, choose your next words very carefully, because Mike is clearly not happy about what's happened. It's when Gus is talking about how they compensated his wife. And he's like, compensate. I think it's not even so much a phrase, it's more just the way he says compensated. It's the way he looks discontent about it. And he's like, keep your damn retainer, and walks off. So we have a bit of tension between Mike and Gus. Yeah,
and it's one of the things where Mike's always been uncomfortable on this side of the business. But again, we know he's going to come back around eventually. But he's a very principled man, and this feels totally in character for him.
Yeah, no, I like him. Like, he knows it had to be done, and some of the workers even realize that it had to be done. But
yeah, and this is the thing. Like, he accepted a job, and he is going to do that job, even if that meant killing his friend. Even though he didn't like it, that was his job, and he kind of that's what he'll do.
Yeah, so, and it's kind of like, that murder happened because people put themselves into a situation where the requirements were so strict in a way that was unnatural to how people live and how people interact with each other. And I think part of like Mike's disgust with this side of the business and this sort of criminal empire is, like, everyone's sort of treating this like, oh, this had to happen because these were the rules and he broke the rule, and the only way you deal with this now is to completely take him off the board. And it's not like, and I think Mike realizes that by working with Gus, by doing this, like, he's kind of almost in the long game putting himself into a similar way where he's now part of this, and now he's part of this machine that is kind of unrelenting, and it doesn't necessarily isn't considerate of any other factors. And I think that's interesting to see Mike kind of struggle with that, and we know that he's going to come back around, but I don't know if it's ever going to truly be because he's just accepting that he's part of this now and that he's happy about it. I think it's always going to be with an element of like, I need to do this for this reason, but it's never going to be something that it's not like Saul where he becomes like no, this is who I want to be. This is like the perfect version of me. Kind of thing.
It's the same as was Saul in many ways is similar to Walter, right? In that. It's kind of like, no, this is what I want to do, because it feels good. Whereas Mike, it's much more begrudging.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was that side of the plot, and then obviously Saul and Kim. Kim, like, he's almost willing to slow down a little bit because he comes back out to talk to her while he's trying to get the paperwork done to get his name, his working name changed, and she's like, no, you're so convinced if this is what you want to do, but she's very hesitant. And we had that big moment, and she gives him the gifts, and I like this because I remembered her doing this. I remembered her making the gifts and putting the mug, like the finishing touches on it. And he's all happy and they're doing ice cream, and he's like, "Oh, I've got some phones left. I'm going to like give the rest of them away, but with like a business card, and maybe even do a discount. I'll do like, non-violent felonies for the next while. We'll do half off."
Yeah, and she's like, "Do you not think that's like just encouraging crime?" It's like, they don't need encouragement.
And well, he's kind of right. She's also got a point. Like, it's kind of this weird thing.
And it ends with her being like, "You're better than this," and come on, you can do better than. And she's obviously going, you can aim to a better market. You can do, you can be a proper lawyer.
Yeah, because she eventually says the line where she says that, "Aren't you worried how this will reflect upon you?" And he takes that as, "Oh, you're right. I'm devaluing things by doing a discount." Yeah, you're right. You're bringing me back in. But what she really meant was that, shouldn't you have a better standard of client that isn't just these low petty criminals that are going to keep doing this? And then there's even the way they look at the world, where he's like, "Oh, like they're going to keep being criminals anyway. There's no changing that. I might as well profit off of it." And she's like, "No, don't you want to try and convince them not to be criminals again? Like, don't you want to try and make people better?" And it's something that we see. And it's funny because even he argues that point later on with the guy, which, by the way, this side character later on, the guy who's like getting offered the 5-month deal because he was stealing like counterfeit freezers, I think, or something like that they said to a policeman. Like, he was hilarious. I think this guy had some of the best comedy of this episode.
Absolutely.
The moment where Kim's like trying to talk to us, like, "Okay, you've got a 5-month deal." He's like, 5 months? Like, yeah, but this is great. With your priors, this could have been years. This is going to be 2 to 4 years, so this is a great deal. And he's like, "Yeah, but what if we go to trial?" I was like, "Well, the trial, I mean, it's like rolling the dice. It's much worse." He's like, let's roll the dice." No, it could be much worse. You could be going for years, but it might not.
But it might be better.
This is the guy. That's what makes sense to most people watching this review, because most people don't play XCOM. But I just want to say, this is the guy who will take the 5% shot chance every time.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case it hits. This is that guy.
He is. Yeah. What I love about this scene is Saul comes over, or just probably say Jimmy at this point, really. Be more fair.
Yeah. Which, by the way, can we just talk about the fact that he's now, his clothing has changed? Like, he's wearing these bright shirts and the hair.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that more in his scene before this. But while we're on here, he comes over and he starts talking to her, and she's like, "I can't get this guy to go for the deal. He's a moron, basically."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, let's just trick him into it. I'll be someone from the DA's office. Pretend we're pulling the deal. I'll really go at it and point at him. And obviously he's doing all this as he goes. And they're just far enough away where they can't hear them.
Yeah, so they can tell they're talking about him. So that sort of adds to what the story's going to be, essentially.
Yeah.
What's so great about this is that he's got a point when he says, "If this isn't using our powers for good, then what is?" Because this guy's got a new kid in the way. He's got another kid already with his girlfriend. Like, him going to prison, he's probably going to be a worse criminal when he comes out. I think that's a long-standing idea of the criminal system, is it doesn't work, right? People get worse, right?
And it's coming from a genuine place as well. Like, no, this is what's best for him. Like, taking this deal is the best thing he can do, and Kim agrees with that sentiment as well.
But she doesn't want to con him, and because we saw her get a taste for it, right? Get a taste for the con jobs, right? Last season, and even the season before that, when she first started doing it. But
it's been going for a while now, yeah.
But you can tell that seeing what Saul is becoming is making her be scared of it and not want to do that herself. And like, she says no, and she gets quite adamant and says, "No, we're not conning my client. We're not doing that." Right? She's that's the word she uses. Like, it doesn't matter if that's the right thing to do. Technically, we're not breaking his trust in order to convince him to do the right thing.
It's a morally wrong thing to do. To take away that choice, essentially.
Yeah.
To take away the illusion of choice, but it is inherently better for him, the client, in the long run. This is what is best for him.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
It's the wrong thing to do. And Kim gets very adamant, and he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll see you at home then." And he sort of walks off. And she walks back over, and he's ready to go to trial, and she just takes a moment, she's looking down at her feet, and she's like, "He was from the DA's office." And she sells him the lie.
And I go, "Oh, Kim."
And she sells him the lie, and it works. After like hearing that the deal's been taken away, he's like, "No, can we somehow take that deal now? Because it may be worse." And she's like, "Well, I mean, I can try." And the final scene of the episode is her going to, and we've seen her go to stairwells before. This is kind of her, like, she goes there to breathe. Yeah, everyone else is taking the elevator. She goes to the stairwell, I think, because that's always quiet. And it just ends in this moment of her. And I think what's really notable about the shot is that we're not shooting from the floor below, looking up at her from the stairs below. We're looking at her from the floor above, going down the stairs at her. So she looks like she's at the bottom of the stairs right now. She's at her, not her lowest necessarily, but she's down there.
No, but we're looking down on her because we know she did the wrong thing.
Yeah, and she feels bad about it. Like this immediately hits her. She has to go and try and, I don't know, console herself, I guess, is maybe the best way to describe it. And
pull herself back together, talk herself into thinking that it was best for him. Try and justify it to herself.
And this comes back again to an idea we've had for probably a good 2 seasons now. The idea that Saul is going to drag her down with him. Even if he doesn't get her in trouble with the law, that her moral character will be corrupted because of Saul's teachings, because of his influence.
Yeah, and it's so clear here where even though she's so adamant she's not going to do this, and she just can't help it, because in her head she sits there and the client goes, so what was that? In her head she goes, damn it, he's right. He's going to go to prison for 4 or 5 years if I don't do this. Yeah.
So, and I think the critique here to an extent is maybe more of the system and why this is even a thing that she could be in this predicament.
I mean, even there's a really casual throwaway line at the start of this where she's like, it's 5 months, but with the case of overcrowding and good behavior, you'll be out in 2.
Yeah, which even that part is...
the overcrowding is that common, and in that casual a reference here that it's almost overlooked, right?
Yeah. And I mean, for someone who's stealing, or not stealing, but like selling counterfeit freezers or something, I can't remember what the exact line was. It was something really weird like that.
It was selling something to the.
It was something silly. It was definitely an appliance. I'm sure it was an appliance of some kind. But like yeah, maybe there's better things to do with him than just throw him in a prison. Like make him do something that will help the society. Make and obviously there's community service, but something a bit more specific. So have him like do something that will actually help and not just throw him in a prison cell that isn't going to benefit him.
The problem is that, and I'm not trying to defend the whole system here because obviously the system has its problems. They've presumably already tried that because he has priors, right? So they've tried other methods, and this is, well, we don't know what else to do now, so prison it is.
Yeah, I think it needs to be more strict. I mean, let's not go down this rabbit hole. This is us trying to fix the criminal justice system.
Yeah, we are not the right people.
Yeah, we're not the right people for this, but clearly the fact that we can get into this predicament where they even have the choice of trying to con a client into making the right choice is like, to me, is just an indictment of that. So this is the choice she makes. And on Saul's side of things, we see, like, because we kind of disappears because we follow Eduardo's plot for quite a while. There's a nice big chunk in the middle where we kind of leave Saul and Kim, and we come back and there's like people lined up in like sort of seedy part of town. It's all these colourful criminal looking characters of various kinds. You've got drug dealers and muscle and prostitutes and
like, what's going on here?
All these just wacky different people.
And then there's like a tent.
And then you see what's his Hugh? You see Big Hugh. Huel, sorry, yeah. He's outside the tent and he's like, oh no, sorry, everyone must make a turn. And you see Saul with the hair and the big bright yellow shirt and like
and you're like, that's it. That's Saul.
Yeah, and he's doing the stories. He's saying, he's kept Huel out of prison, for years.
And it cuts. It was like, he was facing 3 years, 6 years, 9 years,
15,
25 years.
It just keeps going up.
Do you know what I really liked on this? Is really small touch because it's cut in between him telling the story over and over and exaggerating each time. When he gets to the big one, the 25 years, he actually hesitates. He's like 25 years. He actually does hesitate on that one, which I really like. Where he's like, even he's going, am I going too big on this one now?
Yeah, I'm going to say he is, right? I was going to say it.
Yeah.
But the big point of this scene, though, which is so beautiful, and it's really kind of sad, is that earlier in the episode, he made a big song and dance where he was making the ice cream, and he was, and he did like, there was a little bit we left out there as well, where he said that he can't be Jim McGill anymore because lawyer Jimmy McGill will always be his, Chuck's brother, and he'll always be the lesser because of that, and that's why he has to be someone else. And honestly, this is the one good reason he gives that it feels healthy. It's like, no, I need to be someone else. I need to be my own man. It's not connected to that name, right?
Yeah, and I think Kim kind of respects that choice as well, like because that's when she drops it. Yeah,
she's like, okay, you know what? That's the one that actually makes sense and sounds healthy. And then, but before that though, he says this whole thing when he's putting the ice cream down. He's like, look, I was going too far with the voucher thing, with the 50% discount. This is why we're such a good team, because I'll go too far and then you rein me in to where I should be. And the one thing that advice that at least he thought she gave him, she didn't really give him that advice. That wasn't what she was saying. As we said,
he misinterpreted it, but she just kind of went along with it and went, sure, whatever. But it's better than him not taking the advice.
But as we said earlier, he interpreted this advice as coming from her. So as far as he's concerned, she gave him the advice that 50% off would devalue his business, right? His
brand.
His brand as a lawyer. And that one thing that he said, okay, I'll not do that because, yeah, you're right, that's a bad idea.
It's like, I'm better than that. That's the message.
Right, I'm better than that, and it's coming from Kim, and if it comes from Kim, it's rock solid, I'm not going to betray that. The one thing he said he wouldn't do. What does he do? Because the people who are left who don't get a free phone because he's ran out, he's like, "I'll take some business cards from as a lawyer," and they just try and walk away, and he just yells out, "Oh, how about 50% off for if you get picked up for a non-violent felon in the next 2 weeks? Just call me." And they all, "Oh yeah, 50% off," and he gives out the cards. And it turns. Do you know what the thing is? It's see when you start saying, "I'll give you 50% off," it sounds like you're just like a supermarket offering, like, I don't know, like candy bars or something, or washing detergent. Like, it sounds like you're just selling something. It
does, yeah. And like I say, it's only in the next 2 weeks. So hey, I might as well do something in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. The time limit does encourage the crimes. Actually, that's a good point.
It's like when you get a voucher for to go to your supermarket analogy, you get given a voucher for like it's, hey, if you buy this thing, you'll get another one free. Just whatever. But it's the expiry date is end of March.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't use it before then, you've wasted it. So you might as well buy it.
Yeah, I don't have that logic because I know that I wouldn't have bought anything anyway, so I'm still saving money by not buying it.
There are a lot of people who would.
There is, yes, unhealthy people.
It works on a large percentage of the population is the reality.
Yeah. So he does this. And I mean, the one good thing he's doing here is he's saying non-violent, so he's at least not encouraging violent crimes to happen.
He says that now.
Yes, but at least so far, he's got that one little moral line that he's got.
Yeah, but as soon as someone comes to him with a violent crime,
well, I don't think he's saying he won't do represent someone. He just won't give them a discount. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it is that desperation. It is Jimmy in a nutshell. He just wants people to like him, right? So he wants to live that idea, and as soon as they're walking away and just aren't interested, he's like, no, these people need to like me. Quick, discount.
I will say though, the one good thing about this being almost 2 years since we last had season 4, right, is when the other lawyer, that little side character we see from time to time, he gets his thing caught in the vending machine, he's crisps, and
I love that shot. That was such a typical Better Call Saul shot, from the inside of the vending machine, spiral outwards.
Yeah. Which, by the way, who has, like, what vending machine with the spirals ever has things at the back and the front's empty? Like, because it only spins enough too hard for the front thing to come out.
Theoretically, yeah. Whoever restocked it, did a really shit job. Put one in and then just let at the back, and then went, oh well, ran out of those now. Yeah, maybe they thought they had more and put because you obviously stock it from the back forwards, so they put the back one in, thought they had more, and went, oh, don't have any more of that. Oh well, it's in there now.
Yeah. Well, so he comes out and he gets confronted by like a news reporter, right, with a mic, and he gets a mic shoved in his face, and she's talking about how there's some person's going to sue the DA or the state for wrong conviction. And what's so great about it being so long since the last time we saw this is that I saw her and went, she looks a little bit familiar, and it didn't click right away.
And then Saul walks in his big flamboyant suit
and starts basically cutting an advert into the camera, and then it cut to like who's holding the camera, and I recognised who this was. It was his little film crew.
And you're like, oh, he's still got him going.
And I'm like, yeah, the girl, that's the reporter. She's the girl who was on that crew, and it made me laugh so much. I was cackling at this fake lawsuit thing because the guy's like
to be a news company.
He's in the middle of like eating his crisp, and he's like, he can barely speak. He's mouth's full.
So do you have any statement to say on this case? And he's just like, I don't even know anything about this case. What's going on? What's happened?
Oh, it's so good. So no, he's up to his old tricks, and that was just a fun little scene on its own, but it was good stuff.
And it also works as well on this, because at the end of this, he's like, oh yeah, business cards, and he makes one of the camera crew bring it up. Obviously, he's told them beforehand.
Yeah.
And then so he holds it up for the camera so you can get a nice look at it conveniently. But then there's actual, obviously, where they are, they're in the court area. So there are people who need lawyers around. and there's some genuine people around going,
Yeah,
hey, I'll
which
take one of those cards.
I have to assume they're the target for this, because what are they going to do with this footage? Like, run it as an ad? Like,
Yeah.
What good is it on its own? This is purely...
I suspect they will run some of it as an ad.
Oh, maybe they'll cut out the parts where he's talking to the camera, but I think the whole charade, as it is, the way it's presented, is purely because it makes it look legitimate to the people around. Yeah. There's a a news reporter crew here.
I know this guy's high profile. He's winning cases that's getting local news attention. I want some of that.
I love it. And then I feel bad because this is obviously a downward spiral of Saul that I don't want to see, because I'm rooting for him to not do this, but he's so much fun to watch do it.
It is so conflicting. It's that moral quandary, isn't it? Of we know we should want him to be good and not do this, but it's so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, we're in for 9 more episodes of this. Obviously, the great news is that episode 2, I mean, by the time this goes up, episode 2 will probably be airing already. We'll have a review of episode 2 up about the same time tomorrow, so, come back in about 24 hours from this one going up and should be there. But they're airing... Yeah, they're doing this back-to-back nights thing for the first week, and it'll be the second night, so it'll be the Monday nights that it'll be airing going forward. The Sunday night was just for the first episode, so...
Yeah. So you can expect our reviews every Tuesday.
Late Tuesday, every week, so... but that is the first episode. Obviously no Hamlin this episode, and I'm sure there's a few other faces we didn't get to see, but this wasn't even like a standout episode for Saul standards. Like, it's really good. It does a few really great character things. It's directed effortlessly, as it often is, but for the most part this episode was kind of just like dealing with all the strands that were left at the end of the finale last season and sort of putting them back in the box so that we can...
I think honestly, it reminds you how great the show is. That this is, like, it's not a standout episode. It's a very average, indicative episode of, okay, this is what to expect from it. A standard episode. When I say average, I don't mean like, oh, it's fine. I mean, this is the average quality, at least. Yeah,
this is a standard case of, like, the average quality of a Better Call Saul episode is far and above a lot of other TV, most TV. I watched this right after this week's The Outsider, and the quality difference was staggering, and like everything else I'm watching right now, Better Call Saul is better. It's better than Picard. It's better than The Outsider. What else am I watching right now?
It's not even really... I mean, I can't speak for Picard, but for anything I've probably watched in the last month, it's not even close.
Yeah. So it's just, the way it is. But Better Call Saul is phenomenal, and they've not missed a beat. And it's exciting knowing that we're getting the final season, and this isn't we've got one more after this, but we've got a final season of 13 episodes after the season of 10, so that puts us at 13 plus 9, 22 episodes remain. We're going to count down, so 22 are left now after this one, and then after tomorrow will be 21, and so on.
I'm sure all of them are going to be gold.
Yes. So super exciting. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can support us for as little as $1 per month over there. Get some bonuses and all that stuff. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?